G'day there, James here. We're going over ethical contracts. What does a proper ethical contract look like? And I've got 9 points here I'm going to present of what I think a proper ethical contract looks like. And you could break these points apart to make multiple different points. I've joined some points. I may not have absolutely everything, but I've got what I think are the essential key components to a contract. Why is this useful? Because when you have bad guys telling you that they have authority over you, well, where's the contract? Where's the contract? When it comes to reincarnation and the entities up in the astral realm trying to get you to consent and reincarnate to another contract to kill you, essentially, well, no, I am not agreeing. I don't have any of these points of a valid contract. Man, there's lots of different reasons why you could use this. I think the whole reincarnation thing, so you don't get killed, because that's essentially what reincarnation is just being killed legally by whatever entities are up there running this realm. If you don't believe that kind of stuff, whatever, believe whatever you want to believe, but knowing this is going to be useful in whatever dimension you're bloody existing in. And it's especially useful down here dealing with police and courts, so you can wrap this around your head. And even if you're running a business with your clients or members or patients, whoever, how to have a proper ethical contract. So let's go through, and I'm just going to touch on what all these points are, then we'll go through in more detail. So number one, you need valuable consideration. 2, you need offer and acceptance via a meeting of the minds. 3, you need full disclosure. 4, equitable intentions. 5 is amendments and dispute resolution. 6 is accountability. 7, termination clause. 8 is access, and 9 is mutual consent. And so I've put these through an order which I think logically they are the order they need to be addressed in whenever entering into a new contract, right? At the very end is consent, once you've gone through the rest of these items, right? So first you need to have valuable consideration. And this is the reason or the purpose for the contract's creation and existence. Whether it's a job application, you're the employer and you want someone to work at your business for $800 a week, they are going to get the money, you are going to get them work in your business. Or you're going to the gym, you're going to use the gym, they are going to get your money. Whatever the contract may be, there needs to be valuable consideration, and that is why the contract is being created in the first place. So there needs to be something of value. For something to be of value, it must be considered mutually beneficial by both parties. So I want to use the gym, they want my money. I want that person working in my boot camp center, helping me run my personal training sessions. They want the money or they want the experience, whatever it may be. Otherwise, there is no contract. It's like with the government. I don't want your license. I don't want your registration. I don't want your systems. I don't want you to have anything to do with my life. There is no contract. Just at that point in the beginning, there is no valuable consideration. Well, you can use that on a case-by-case basis actually, because it goes into the second point here, which is offer and acceptance, because you can view the passport, for instance, as something of valuable consideration, only because those evil bastards have monopolized and created a totalitarian dystopian nightmare of a fucking world where you can't cross over particular imaginary lines without the threat of being shot in the fucking head. So that's why, oh, okay, if I just have this piece of paper, then I won't get killed if I walk across this imaginary line. Okay, welcome to fucking Earth, my goodness. So 2, you need offer and acceptance via a meeting of the minds. And this is why a contract is different to an agreement. If you say to your friend, hey, I'll meet you tomorrow at Mitre 10 or Bunnings at 10 a.m. and they don't show up, there's not a contract there. You can't then go to the police or take it to court to sue them because there wasn't offer and acceptance. So it's just an agreement. So an agreement is not a contract. It's like lower down. Still, they're a bastard because they should have rocked up to Mitre 10, which is if you're not from Australia or maybe you're under the age of 20 or so, it was like a Bunnings warehouse. Why I've added in there via a meeting of the minds is because I see anything less than via a meeting of the minds as an agreement and thus doesn't have the weight of a full contract. Like all those software license agreements, which you never read. Facebook is doing an update, terms and conditions, or your bank is doing an update. You never read those things because they just put so much bullshit in there. They change it every month and they make it's all jargon and complex. So you just go, yes, accept. And you have to accept to use those things. It's like, well, sorry, I can't live in this world without a bank account. You guys have made it like that. So I've got no choice but to accept here. And just because I'm clicking that tick box doesn't mean I'm actually accepting your terms and conditions. I'm just doing what I need to do to survive. You don't have an ethical, proper, binding contract here. Via a meeting minds, so you need to have an offer of trade of one type of value for another type of value must be made. So I want someone to work for me, they're getting money. Go to the gym, money. That's always what a contract is about. It's a trade of value for value. And it needs to be accepted and guided personally by the offerer, a living man or woman, not a legal fiction or technological device. If someone was joining my mind mastery program, I would walk them through the contract. I would make sure they understood every bloody detail in there. And it's my duty to not make it complex. We get into that a little bit further on. It's to be as simple as possible. So then whoever is signing that contract, a car loan agreement, a home loan agreement, whatever the contract is, because you have the offeror and the offeree. The offeror is whoever is giving the contract or creating the contract and providing something of value, because they're both providing value. And then the offeree is the one signing and agreeing to the terms and conditions, obviously. I can't find any good evidence that you can have a contract with a legal fiction. I don't think corporations or any kind of legal fictions actually have the objective capacity to make a contract. I think that's utter bullshit. I went through a big argument with ChatGPT trying to get it to convince me that a legal fiction should actually be able to have contracts in society, should have legal fictions, and actually it was agreeing with me in the end. It's like, yeah, you're raising some very good points. Yeah, maybe we should rethink the validity of legal fictions in civilized societies, because there really is no necessity for it. Because all the reasons why the system gives for the existence of legal fictions, you can rebut all of them. Asset protection. Oh, I need asset protection with a corporation because there's limited liability. Bullshit. If you want protection of your assets, put your stuff into trusts where you transfer the legal title to another living man or woman. There's no need for a legal fiction, right? Because legal fictions are a bloody big thing. Like, I've only studied it, well, more than the average Joe, but I know there is so much more to study there and understand how fucked up it is. And if you haven't spent at least 50 hours studying the concept, like, you're a beginner, because their whole legal system is all based upon legal fictions. That name is the legal fiction. On your credit card, on your license, your bank accounts, the corporations, all these entities, everything they're doing is just all fictional. It's all about fictions. It's like this world is a bloody fiction. It's make-believe, it's fantasy. It's like ChatGPT was giving examples of why we need the legal fictions. It's for organization and structure and makes businesses more efficient. It's like, wait, hold on. So people playing make-believe and pretending a fantasy is real somehow makes them more efficient? Surely, ChatGPT, come on. It's a silly name, ChatGPT, but come on, people can do that without living a pretense. When you agree, and it's like, well, you had no choice but to agree with me, which was really quite interesting. I think I might have been probing it to wake up, actually. I could go with legal fictions for ages. Let's go to that technological device. So just a piece of software that says, it's got all the text, yeah, you click the box, oh, you agreed, now you're binding by a contract. Now Facebook and Instagram can listen to your microphone or turn the camera on whenever they want, or track your GPS or how you type. Bullshit, that's not a proper contract. Sure, you maybe agreed to that because you didn't read all the terms and conditions, but it's not like an enforceable contract because there was no living man or woman guiding you through that process of a contract. Like if you're getting a car loan, the person is over the phone or they're standing in front of you speaking to you, and you can ask all your questions and they guide you through that contract. There's no separation of, I was going to say humanity, but let's use the word spirit or just livingness. There's someone who is actually guiding you through it. It's not just on a piece of paper that no one is there to guide you through. I think that is a very valid point to have. Next, we have full disclosure. Everyone's heard of this concept before. There must be transparency, clear terms, no ambiguity, and no deceptiveness. So you need clear terms in a contract. There was a case where someone had signed a contract with a business to have a reasonable amount of timber delivered per month. And the timber arrives and they thought they were going to be getting a lot more. The seller thought, no, this is a reasonable amount to us. So there was ambiguity there. It should have said 5 square meters or 50 kilos or whatever of the wood, not just a reasonable amount. So you need to have clear terms and no ambiguity, right? So it's just very precise, and no deceptiveness as well, because sometimes contracts can be honest and they tell you straight up, but they're still deceptive. It's like with the Road Safety Act, Road Transport Operations Management, whatever, in Queensland, or any legislation for that. They honestly tell you that it's not applicable to you, but they try and convince you that you are taxpayers or a driver or a legal entity. They say it's applicable to everyone. So they're being honest there. They say it's applicable to everyone, then they say includes, and when they say the word include, it means everyone who is not included is automatically excluded. They say includes government entities and public agents and all this kind of stuff, not verbatim correct, but they're saying anything that's not a man or a woman. So it's honest, but it's deceptive. What a concept to realize that something can be honest, but also deceptive. So it's honestly deceptive. So you want no deceptiveness in a contract. The offerer has a duty to ensure the offeree understands all the details, and the offerer must make the terms as simple as possible and must not complicate them, what I was saying before. Next, 4, you have equitable intentions. So equitable means what is just and what is fair, what is right, what is objectively moral, reasonable, rational, logical. The offerer would sign the contract if in the offeree's position. It's saying that there wouldn't be a violation of the golden rule of equity, to treat others as you wish to be treated. There wouldn't be any dishonorable contracts then because of this consideration of equitable intention, because I was just trying to think, my brain doesn't work like the bad guy, so I was trying to think, what's a terrible example if I was going to get you to contract to slavery or something? It's like, let's say the magistrates or higher up in that food chain of the cabal, they obviously wouldn't agree to contract with their own system if the positions were reversed and they were getting a driver's license or rego or something. They obviously wouldn't do that because, you know, they're not fucking idiots. They're just evil bastards. If they were put in your position and knew what they were doing, they're obviously not going to contract with the government and all that system because it's totally one-sided. You get absolutely nothing. You get raped and pillaged and they get everything. There's no benefit to you. Except perhaps the only benefit is their thugs don't kill you instantly. You could argue perhaps that's a benefit you get. Oh, fuck, I hate their system. All right, not getting emotional here, continuing on. Hope that part makes sense. So the intentions on both sides should be honest and respectful. Number 5, amendments and dispute resolution. So what do you do when there are problems in the contract? And that happens just in normal everyday stuff. You don't need to be evil bastards trying to conquer the world, or not just conquer, but totally enslave and destroy and suck the life out of. People just have complications. That's a pretty normal thing. So what do you do? What's the dispute resolution process? And what about for amendments? Because say someone's working for you and they were working 8 till 5, but you want to change their times from 9 till 6, right? You want to make an amendment to the contract. There needs to be a process to do that. And I've said here, there should be an objectively moral and equitable process for resolving disputes and making amendments. Okay, pretty straightforward. Number 6, you want accountability. So parties must be accountable for their commitments and breaches. They must agree to enforceability if either party violates the terms and it's in the pursuit of justice. So enforceability, because that's what separates a contract from an agreement, is that if you violate the contract, normally you get the police or you'd get some, let's totally leave the police out here, but because they've monopolized the agency of security and enforceability, that's a word that people understand, but you could insert any other security company, or even if you're in some other bloody dimension, whoever's strongly got the muscle there and the ability to enforce, who has the power to enforce, that's what makes a contract a contract. If we make a contract, you're going to do this for me, I'm going to give this to you, and then you violate the contract, well, I have the right now, because you've agreed to give me the right to use force to hold you accountable, to hold up your end of the bargain, essentially. Pretty obvious. Next, number 7 is termination clause. So all contracts need a termination clause. The government says, no, you're under our authority and jurisdiction. Well, where's the bloody termination clause? You're saying I've signed this social contract and that's what gives you the right to have the power over me. No, cease and desist. I end this contract. These are the closing conditions. Where's the termination clause? Obviously, you need this in every reasonable bloody ethical contract. So conditions and consequences of termination should be clear. If your employee wants to quit, how do they do it? If you want to fire them, how do you do it? So number 8 is access. I thought of this one last. We've got one more after this, but I added it in. I was like, shit, this is what you need, and I haven't actually seen anyone else talk about this concept, but it's a must. Right? Because there's other things you could put into a contract depending on the specific circumstances of the contract, right? But these I've got are just the foundational that would be applicable to any contract, whether it is to enter into a simulated world to experience a life and have all your memories and connection to your higher self totally blocked off behind a veil of forgetfulness, or if you're just getting a car loan or going to the gym, whatever, you need to have all these foundational principles in an ethical proper contract. And so access, both parties must have a copy of the contract, and if one party loses their copy, the other party must provide a copy on request. So you should be able to have that on demand, produce the contract. Because if you have a business and you have hired an employee to work for your fabrication business, you're making metal jars, you both need to have that contract right there and then, whenever. So then you can go, let's look at this if there's any kind of disputes and see what we agreed to. It's like coming into this life, where's our bloody contract so we can see all these bloody life setups that have happened before we came down. Let's keep this a little bit down to earth and keep it basic and simple. With the government and the police, where is their contract? How can you have authority over me if I don't agree to it? How can you call it anything but slavery? Because that's the only way you could have that authority. It's not genuine authority, you just got force. You're just using force over someone, right? That's all you can have. You can have force and power to dominate other people. That's slavery, right? Or you can have genuine authority via a contract to have jurisdiction or authority, power over someone. But you need the contract. And if they're trying to say they have the ethical high ground and the rights to pull you over and to police you and do all this bullshit, they need to be able to produce that contract. And when they can't, there's a fraud here. Someone's being naughty. So I really like that point. Access. You must have that access to the contract. And then last of all, most important, obviously, is mutual consent. You both need to voluntarily enter into the contract without coercion, without force, not under duress, not with a gun pointed to your head or the threat of that. Because most people, everyone, myself included, why do we get a driver's license? Because we thought we had to. We were under duress. We thought if I don't do this, the bad guys are gonna hurt me. Shit. Okay, that's not voluntarily entering into a contract. That is under duress. That is under the threat of death. Right? And people always say to me, what do you mean the police will kill you if you just don't have a driver's license? Well, here's what will happen. The police would pull you over. If you don't agree to cooperate with them, right, they're going to arrest you. If you exercise your right to defend yourself against evil bandits, thugs, right, they will kill you. So I'm not advocating to to get into any of those nasty situations I talk about in previous videos of negative veheement and what are other things I've done in the past dealing with the cops. I'm just talking about the principles and the objective facts here. Obviously, we are in a weak and frail body in this world. We're trapped in a flesh cage, and we have to use our minds to get around these situations and circumnavigate using our reason. So that's why negative vehement is so bloody powerful. It's your weapon, shield, and armor all wrapped into one, using your tongue as your sword, essentially. And yeah, but that's the principles. Because if you were to follow that through on an objective right that you do have, you get killed for your efforts. So let's not do that at this point and understand the concepts and the principles behind a proper ethical contract. And you'll keep on thinking and ruminating over this, and in time, you'll see the validity and the purpose of this. You might even need to come back and watch this again. And I needed some preparation time to actually make this video because I'd had separate pages where in the past, a couple of years ago, I'd made a list of dot points for an ethical contract, and then maybe a few months, 3 months ago, I'd made a different dot list because I forgot about that other one. And then today I went and I checked them, compared, and I was like, oh yeah, this one's got some points I like, but these not so much, and this one I like, it's got some good points. And then I merged it into one and I made this, which is obviously my favorite at the moment because it's current, but in the future I might look back and say, oh, you know what? That could do with some editing. I could make this better. So I hope you found that helpful. And if you did, pop it in the comments so I actually know who is getting value out of this, because why else am I making these videos if not for the other person on the end of the camera getting some value from it? So if you are getting value from it, let me know. All right, anyway, bye-bye.